Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, good morning, devotees. Happy Gaura Purnima, ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yasodhanandana Brajajanarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Iravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Brajajanarajana Yasodanandana Brajajanarajana Yamunatira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jayara Madhava Jati Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Dada Damodara Shira Radhe Nitai Gaura Sudha Nitai Gaura Sudha Gaura Hari Jai Shishi Radha Madhava Ki Jai Patita Pavana Shishi Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. So good morning, devotees. Happy holidays. Wonderful day, Gaura Purnima. And it's a great honor to be here with you all. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, the last verse, which is 41. That's 5, 1, 41. Bomam divyam manusam cha mahitvam karmayo yogajam yaschakre niryapamyam purusanu jana priyaha Bomam divya manusam cha mahitvam karma yogajam yaschakre niryapamyam purusanu jana priyaha Bomam divya manusam cha mahitvam karma yogajam yaschakre niryapamyam purusanu jana priyaha. Okay, word for word translation. Homam, of the lower planets, Divyam, heavenly, Manusam, of human beings, Cha, also, Mahitwam, all opulences, Karma, by fruit of activities, Yoga, by mystic power, Jam, born, Ya, one who, Chakre, did, Nirya, with hell, Apamyam, comparison or equality, Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anuja, to the devotees, Priya, most dear. Translation. And this looks like it's a quote. Okay, so a few verses. Okay, a few verses back, it is stated there are many famous verses regarding Maharaj Priyavrata's activities, and then a series. I guess the last two verses were some of these quotes, and here this is another quote. So this is in quotation marks, quoting some of the activities of some of the great some of the famous verses regarding Maharaj Priyavrata's activities. Okay. As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaj Priyavrata considered hellish and opulence. Let me start again. As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaj Priyavrata considered hellish the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power, whether in the lower or heavenly planetary systems or in human society. Okay, I'll read it again. As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaj Priyavrata considered hellish the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power, whether in the lower or heavenly planetary systems or in human society. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has said, okay, all right, so I guess first a question to you all, because they say curiosity is to knowledge as hunger is to prasadam. So just to increase our appetite to learn. The question is, why is it, why, how, why and how is it that one can consider hellish the opulences received by fruitive activities and mystic power? Even, even going up to the heavenly planets, or even probably having a very nice position in human society. So how is this actually considered hellish? Yeah, you can imagine living in the heaven, you're doing so many years fruitive activities, and you're able to be elevated to the higher planetary systems, where you're living in such great opulence. But Priyavata Maharaj actually considered this hellish. So, yeah, how is this that that's considered hellish? Okay. So, purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has said that the position of a devotee is so super excellent that a devotee does not consider anything, that a devotee does not consider any material opulence worth having. There are different types of opulences on earth, in the heavenly planets, and even in the lower planetary systems, known as Patala, known as Patala. A devotee, however, knows that they are all material, and consequently, he is not at all interested in them. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Param Tisva Nivartate. Sometimes yogis and jnanis voluntarily give up all material activities to practice their system of liberation and taste spiritual bliss. However, they frequently fall down because artificial renunciation of material opulences cannot endure. One must have a superior taste in spiritual life. Then he can give up material opulence. Maharaj Priyavata had already tasted spiritual bliss, and therefore he had no interest in any of the material achievements available in the lower, higher, or middle planetary systems. Maharaj Priyavata had already tasted spiritual bliss, therefore he had no interest in any of the material achievements available in the lower, higher, or middle planetary systems. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the fifth canto, first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavata. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurānulitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Savachatan Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Namami Hari Pre Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratise Namaha Panchatattvamakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Vatara Bhaktyakam Pranami Bhakta Shaktikam. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, so um, yeah, like I said, I posed this question before everyone because it's quite inconceivable that one would consider, yeah, one would consider even going up to the higher planetary systems as being hellish. Um, so yeah, and we see, but we see here Prabhupada gives the answer, and he gives a few points that the devotee considers anything that is material, it kind of doesn't want anything, don't want to have anything to do with it. Um, yeah, for a devotee, for a devotee, even impersonal Brahman is considered hellish for a devotee because um, for a devotee, yeah, so a devotee means one who wants to be constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. Satatam chintayanto mam yatantascha tridhavrataha. Um, um, what's this verse? Manmana bhavamad bhakto mam yaji mam namaskar mame sisyatente. Forgot the last line. But yeah, so the devotee's always thinking of me, worshiping me, bowing down before me like this. Or um yeah, the devotees they take great pleasure. What is this verse in the Chatur Sloki Bhagavad Gita? Uh, saying that the devotees they take great pleasure in always enlightening one another and conversing about me. In this way, Tushanti cha ramanti cha. They're always very happy and satisfied. So as I heard recently in class, yeah, a devotee doesn't want to go anywhere. Devotee doesn't want to do anything. A devotee doesn't want to have anything to do with whatever won't bring him, isn't in touch with Krishna. Therefore, yeah, take him to the heavenly planet, whatever situation you put him in. It's not desirable. Um, but but conversely, wherever there is service, then a devotee is satisfied. Um, even in like when Srila Prabhupada was walking in New York and the devotees were taking him on a walk and they were a little embarrassed saying, "Oh, Prabhupada, yeah, sorry, that this is obviously this is not a very pleasant place to be in, just whatever, some back street in New York." And Prabhupada said, "No, this is like he was seeing the spirit. He was commented how he was seeing the spiritual world. That he was feeling great bliss even in such a place." Because the devotee, he's always seeing. He always has the vision of service. Just like when I'm looking out into the forest. So a materialist might think, okay, how can I, exploit all these trees and make a buck off it? Or people see according to their own vision, they see different things. Some like hippie might say, okay, yeah, where can I put my hammock? Of course, it's not only hippies that use hammocks, but where's a tree I can hug like that. But a devotee's thinking, yeah, just see whatever. Just the devotee's always seeing service, seeing with the vision of service. Um, and yeah, and then this other point that Paramdrisvani Vartate, so getting the higher taste. So I thought it was very befitting to have kind of such a topic brought up in the purport of getting the higher taste because, of course, today is the most auspicious day of Sri Gaura Purnima, the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared by the uh, longing of his pure devotee, Sri Advaitacharya, who was seeing the terrible condition of humanity and thinking, how will these people be delivered? So he called out, with great sincerity, worshiping the shalagram with the Ganges and just praying with all his heart and soul. And such a prayer, as we know, penetrated through the layers of the universe and caught Krishna's attention. And Krishna came himself in this very merciful form, Mahavadanyaya avatar. Uh, the most merciful incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yeah, so how does that relate to higher taste like this? So the thing is, when Krishna comes, when Krishna came 5,000 years ago in his Swayamrupa form, his original form, he comes and he performs these wonderful pastimes. Verse Paritanai Sadhunam Vinasayata Duskitam Dharma Samstapana Dharma Samstapanartaya Sambhavam Yuga Yuga. The Krishna comes, he performs this. He comes here, yeah, time after time, yuga after yuga, in order for two things: to deliver, to get rid of the miscreants, and to deliver the devotees. So when Krishna comes, he performs these wonderful pastimes, and ultimately in order to attract us, so we can, yeah, become enchanted by these pastimes, become attracted by these pastimes, um, eventually realize that these pastimes are divine, and then Fakta Deha Punar Janma Naitimam Eti Sarja. Then ultimately, by realizing that these are not material pastimes, we can go back to God. Okay, so that's what Krishna does in his form 5,000 years ago. Um, but even though he came to do that, he didn't so much show the exact process, like how to get back to the spiritual world. So that's where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes in, because now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down as um, the Yuga avatar. So generally, Yuga avatars, their function is to show the process for the age. So as the Yuga avatar, Lord Chaitanya comes and he shows us the way how to attain perfection in this age. Um, and yeah, whereas Krishna and Bhagavad Gita is saying, okay, Sarvadhamma Prityaja, give everything up. Mama Kam Sharanam Vraja, just exclusive surrender unto me. Um, when Lord Chaitanya comes, and so they're prerequisites. When Krishna comes, he speaks Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, there's prerequisites. Okay, first become liberated. Brahma Buddha Prasana Mana Sojatina. Yeah, first become liberated, control the senses like this. Be equipoised. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, it's just he breaks his own rules, and he says, here's the cheat code. I have the cheat code for you to get back to the spiritual world. Yeah, it's like if you're playing a very tough video game, right? You just somehow or other can't figure out. You get stuck in one part or whatever. It's just a very impossible video game. Um, and then someone comes and says, "Well, here's the cheat codes. Just type in these cheat codes, and then you'll be able to whatever." Of course, I don't know what the point would be. I guess just so you can brag to your friends that you beat the game. Um, but yeah, so that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Comes down, gives us the cheat codes, how to kind of win the video game of life and attain the highest perfection. Um, and yeah, so this is why it's considered the most merciful incarnation. So um, I thought it was quite interesting, and I was looking for kind of I was looking through the Chaitanya Charitamrita and just recalling pastimes, and just oh yeah, just I wanted to kind of learn more about this point about higher taste, and I was thinking, okay, maybe when Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they talked Purnima Sheshamandalipati, Shrenim Sadatuk Chaba. They gave up the highest aristocratic association, just accepted loincloths, living under a tree, like that. Um, and this was by the influence of meeting Mahaprabhu, and we can say getting this higher taste, right? So much so that they devised plans how to leave their work and all this. Um, so they were, yeah, so they obviously got this higher taste. I was kind of thinking, well, maybe this is a good example, so I wanted to look into it. Anyways, I couldn't find actually where this pastime took place. Maybe if someone knows, they can type it in. I know they met at Ramkeli, but in terms of this first meeting, I couldn't find. But I kind of I kind of, yeah, came to like a interesting realization and about just the nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's an aspect that's not so commonly spoken about, and um, I'd like to speak something about it. And I'm totally open to kind of if I'm just completely off, um, I'm totally open to yeah, being corrected in this regard. Um, because like I said, somehow, at least I haven't heard about this aspect so much stressed. But okay, so what is that? What is that kind of aspect of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Well, let's just say this. I typed into our wonderful Google Guru, I typed in, was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered strict? And so I typed it into Google, not knowing what was going to come up. And sometimes you get like one like the first answer, and then like a bunch of websites and links after that. And so what came up was in bold letters, like the text was like like font 22 or something, and it said very strict. So was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu strict according to Google? Of course, we don't accept Google as our main source of pramana. But yeah, but Google said very strict in bold letters. So uh, I thought this. So yeah, this is kind of an aspect of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that he was very strict, And if you think of the pastimes, I mean, when I was thinking of past, I just once I started thinking about this, how strict he was, I just couldn't stop thinking of pastime after pastime where, yeah, Mahaprabhu was he's actually so strict. So it's an interesting paradox where, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's the merciful avatar. Um, he comes and Patita Pavana, savior of the fallen, like that, and so many bhajans singing like uh, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosamo Patita Prabhu Napai Beara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're considered Patita Pavana. Okay, but if you really want this name, then I'm the most fallen, so you have to save me. If you really um, if you really want to be classified as the most fallen, then yeah, since I'm the most fallen, you have to save me. So like this, we hear this often. Mahaprabhu is um, very merciful to the fallen. At the same time, according to Google, and also I'll state more things to back it up. I won't just reference Google. Yeah, he's very strict. So yeah, it's like I said, it's an interesting paradox. And um, yeah, so So to cite more examples than just Google search engine, um, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, um, yeah, there was there was of course this devotee Mukunda, and uh, Mukunda was yeah, he was a devotee of Mahaprabhu, but he also liked kind of hanging out with other people. As Salinus Teg said, he got a little too much into the interfaith scene. He was a little he was a little too much into the interfaith uh, you know mingling. And so when Mahaprabhu knew about this, yeah, Mahaprabhu came to know about this. So then, when the devotees approached, Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, can have this darshan of you? Can he meet with you?" And he said, "No, I will not meet with I will not meet with Mukunda for whatever millions of births." And why? Because he's going here and there. He's you know he's not chased to the association of the Vaishnavas. He's going here and there to the Mayavadis like that. So because of this, yeah, but I forget the exact number, billions of births it'll be before he can see me. And of course, then Mukunda, yeah, was very elated by this, and then of course Mahaprabhu did end up seeing him. I think seeing his devotion. So another person Mahaprabhu was reluctant to see was Prataparudra, right? Even though such a wonderful, great devotee, arranging for devotees to come to Jagannath Puri, um, arranging their rooms and all that so nicely. Um, but when the devotees said, Mahaprabhu, this king is just a wonderful devotee, completely dedicated to, um, can you meet with him? And Mahaprabhu said, no, this is not befitting a sannyasi to meet with such worldly men. We're just interested in pounds and shillings like this. So then devotees had to devise a whole plan. Mahaprabhu, okay, when he was and Mahaprabhu, they knew he'd be in the Rath Yatra, and then they knew he would get tired, and at one point he would be laying in these gardens, and then Prajaputa could come and massage him. So they had, yeah, just to get darshan of Mahaprabhu, devotees had to devise this whole plan like this. So I'm talking about why when I typed in.
Yeah.
Oh, you heard it. Okay, okay, okay. Um, so yeah, this is another instance of this strictness. Um, Also, we know that yeah, Mahaprabhu, there was this one of his servants, I don't know if someone remembers his name, but uh he was like, I think Mahaprabhu caught him glancing at some girls in a lustful way. And that was it. Mahaprabhu was like, no, okay, you're out. You're out. Sorry, I don't want to associate with you. Um, and yeah, then also when one of his servants got caught up with the Bhattaharis, like the modern day gypsies, yeah, Mahaprabhu got him, but he also chastised him, grabbed him by his sika, and he was like, "What the heck were you doing?" So many instances like this. Sachi Mata, his own mother, right? His own mother was criticizing that uh, because she was a little mad towards Advaitacharya because Advaitacharya had by Advaitacharya's association, then Mahaprabhu's brother had kind of taken to the renounced order of life, and then she was afraid this would happen with Nimai also. So she was saying, she was criticizing, she was doing Vaishnava Prabhupada saying, you're Advaita, but uh, really you're Dvaita, you're duplicitous. And Mahaprabhu was like, okay, mom, I love you very much, but yeah, I don't. He pretty much like kind of like disowned her in a sense, and then she had to actually go and apologize to Acharya in order for Mahaprabhu to be pacified and kind of accept her again. So I don't know, one verse. So yeah, Chaitanya. So it's interesting. It's just yeah, it's an interesting paradox. And one verse says Mahaprabhu, he's and one might think, okay, well, this is only because he was sannyas, and of course, sannyasis have to maintain this certain standard for themselves. But as we hear, be strict with yourself and lenient with others. But what was Mahaprabhu teaching also? Um, yeah, at one point I know is quoted in Nectar of Instruction where he says, yeah, one should not eat very palatably, and one should not dress himself very elegantly like this. So, of course, if you want to wear your nicest kurta tonight, Gaura Purnima, because it will be for the pleasure of the Lord, then yes, no harm. But one verse from the Antilila, Jivare lalaseye iti utadaya, Shisnodara parayana Krishna hipaya. So that person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate and who is always attached to the desires of his stomach and genitals is unable to attain Krishna. Yeah. So running here and there, seeking to gratify the palate. Sorry, can't know Krishna. So like this, yeah, Mahaprabhu was had this very strict side to us, so that we can kind of take this to heart and like you know Mahaprabhu, yeah, he's giving the highest thing. He's out there saving the animals. Ram, that dog that followed Shivananda Sain's dog or whatever, the dog that followed him. He delivered him by giving him the coconut prasadam, and yeah, he had like deers and tigers kissing and stuff. So yeah, he's very very merciful like that. He delivered even these animals. Yeah, but now what? But now are we on that same platform? Are we just animals and dog out in the forest? So I think I have my hunch, and like I said, because I feel like maybe pushing the boundary a little, I'm open to being corrected. I feel like Mahaprabhu expects more of us. Um, so I think we can take inspiration that, yeah, well, this is the highest thing. Mahaprabhu is offering the highest thing. But how do we attain it? Well, if you look through Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can see kind of what Mahaprabhu expected. He definitely he had a high, yeah, he had a very high standard. So it never hurts, right? It never hurts to get a little more strict, to kind of clamp down a little more. Of course, today is a fasting day, so also, yeah, good. Prabhupada says in one purport that uh, he explains the process of devotional service as doing this, that, and the other. And one of the things he describes is fasting on the appearance days of the Lord's incarnations and his devotees' appearance days. Um, so and yeah, ultimately, um, yeah, being very strict with ourselves, and so being very dedicated to the mission and doing service very diligently, because of course this is what impedes our service, right? Is our sense gratifying propensities. As you know from the Srimad Bhagavatam that yeah, service has to be unbreaking, unceasing in order to fully satisfy the self. So yeah, we can just it's a good day. We can just kind of it's a good day to today examine ourselves and just think, well, yeah, how can I kind of clamp down a little more, How can I get a little more serious? Because as the saying goes, that success is sure for the rigid practitioner. That um, and yeah, the Mahaprabhu he was showing this. He was definitely he was no doubt about it, very much showing this example. So okay, I'll stop there. There's some time left. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to go ahead. I'd like to acknowledge our in-person audience, Call Sri Prabhu, hailing from the kitchen. Okay, Call Sri, he's thinking about it.
I have a comment.
Okay. Okay, maybe I'll just repeat. I'll just repeat it.
I was just thinking, because you're talking about Lord Chaitanya being both strict and, as you say, merciful or lenient in a certain way. And I was just reflecting that you could say the same about Srila Prabhupada,
Mm,
because, of course, Prabhupada is very merciful to bring Krishna consciousness to all the fallen souls in the West. Uh, but also to be very strict.
mm,
I've heard it described by people who've had the personal association with Prabhupada that he could reduce her to tears
wow.
when he was angry or doing the passion.
Mm,
But yeah, this reminds me of the, I guess, saying or mannerism that the saintly person is a fire thunderbolt, but a salt is a
mm,
that's there and under the most real. Often we get angry, we are under the influence of that for a while. But when a saintly person gets angry, you're actually certain that they're angry or strict or whatever is needed for the situation, and then they give it.
yeah. Can you think? So, Pastor Peru was mentioning how, in this similar light, Prabhupada, was merciful to come to the West, also was very, very strict and, uh, it was like, it could be very heavy, but also he was detached at the same time, just kind of like exhibiting these, emotions in order to, it's just an example. So can you think of an example where, or just something Prabhupada was like very strict about?
Hmm. Uh, let's see. Well, I'm keeping with the theme of the day. There's, of course, his uh, order to print the all volumes of the Chaitanya Charitamrita
Yeah.
2 months.
And he said, if you don't do this, you are a rascal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, if you don't do this order that I kind of mandated to print all these books of Chaitanya Charitamrita in an inconceivably fast time, if you're not able to do this, you're all rascals. Yeah, and then I heard then everyone's like, oh shoot, okay, we really better. Yeah, very, very demanding, right? Go start this center. Okay. Yeah, when the devotees started saying that Krishna is, or that Prabhupada was God, and to rectify the devotees, okay, go start, go open go open preaching centers.
I also remember hearing your past on reading it that when Prabhupada was traveling, there's a set of deities that was traveling with him.
Mm,
And his assistant at the time for the brahmachari that traveled, they're just stopping in a place like very quickly, maybe for one night at most. And the Brahmachari not unpacked the deities. And Prabhupada said something about it, and the devotee said something like, "Oh, we're just here like a very short amount of time, just one night. Like, why unpack? Like, you know, like it's not very, like comfortable or convenient or something to unpack the deities." And then Prabhupada yelled at him, actually, you're unpacked and you're very comfortable.
Wow. That's a nice pastime.
Maybe people.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, if anyone on Zoom, I mean, is this a crazy concept that that like we have these kind of like mandates for kind of like a certain level of strictness saw in Mahaprabhu's life, or is it all just we get together, chant, dance, whatever happens after that, we're gonna be gradually purified anyways. So yeah, what is that? Someone have some, please share some thoughts on this. I'm sure someone out there has something.
Hare Krishna.
Evil.
Thank you for your class. Nice to hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's actually, I'm surprised you would choose to focus on Lord Chaitanya's strictness. Appearance Day, the appearance day of the most munificent incarnation of Krishna, particularly known for his kindness and mercy. But it's true that as a sannyasi in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, he manifested very great strictness. He was he set a very ideal example, and so he was strict with himself and strict with others. So hard as a thunderbolt, but also soft as a rose petal. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they do not consider any offenses in devotional service so very easily approachable. They will accept service from anyone in spite of all kinds of deficiencies. So this is our great fortune. Lord Chaitanya's willingness to tolerate, to overlook our faults and accept only our actual service, opportunity for devotional service and to benefit ourselves. Lord Chaitanya, of course, is critical in our lives. There would be no hope without the Chaitanya, but he was strict. Leela, he was strict with disciples, he was strict with his students, he was strict particularly strict with himself. Another example of his strictness is dealings with his students in his early pastimes when he teaching. He would chastise his students if they failed to come with tilak. He would refuse to see their face. If they did not have tilak, he would tell them that it's like a crematorium. He was quite heavy about this. He would send them back home to yep, to do that. Like they were allowed to return. Anyway, I like to focus on the on Lord Chaitanya's kindness and mercy, but I have to, for my own benefit, to remember strictness as well. His strictness in his dealing with Jyota Haridas. It's one of the first Leelas that I ever read. I was a Bhakta, not even a Bhakta. I was just starting to associate with devotees, and I acquired a copy of the book, The Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and I read the story of Jyota Haridas, which really struck me. You know, I hardly knew anything of Krishna consciousness at that point in time. But I was very impressed by that story, and I remember I was sitting in the cafeteria of my high school reading the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. On the spot, I resolved to become a strict brahmachari. I actually was already practicing brahmacharya, but then it really sank in for me, and my resolve became very, very strong. So this is the potency of Srila Prabhupada's books. You know, someone who has no real background and is hearing, kind of a heavy story that might be difficult, you would think, for someone to accept, but I didn't have any problem with it. It just encouraged me tremendously. Everything just clicked for me and made perfect sense. But Chaitanya's extraordinary kindness is why we are all here. Everything possible for us in Krishna consciousness, the entire Guru Parampara and our beloved Srila Prabhupada are all manifesting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. We owe everything, of course, to Lord Chaitanya. And of course, Lord Chaitanya is Srila Prabhupada reminds us over and over. Lord no difference at all. Lord Chaitanya is Radha Krishna, and particularly he is the Radharani, who is the compassion, full and compassion. So Lord Chaitanya manifests those qualities of Sri Bhakti.
It's breaking up a little, but at least on our end here, we got pretty much, we got most of what you were saying.
All right, well, I'm disinclined to try to repeat it. Got the gist, that's good enough. Whatever I have to say is not really worth hearing, so.
No, but I really appreciate you yeah, balancing things out. And I mean, this is generally the theme we hear of more with Mahaprabhu is, yeah, his mercy and how it's only due to his mercy that, us from such low backgrounds can have a chance. Um, so thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
One thing
I,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to also add, you were asking about the meeting of the Goswamis and my recollection, 18th and 19th chapter. 19 describes in detail Sanatana Goswami's um, escape from prison and being instructed by him.
Okay, 19th chapter.
Yes, Madhya Lila.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you. Tark Ki Jai. One thing I wanted to quote is this, there's this pastime, Parama Karuna Pahu Duvichana Itagorachan. So in there, yeah, one of the lines, it's so Prabhupada gives the purport to this bhajan. He's saying, but what is this process? This process is Vishaya Chariya Se Rasa Majiya. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. That is the only restriction. If one gives up sense gratification, it is sure that he will reach the desired goal. Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari without any motive of sense gratification. Uh, so yeah, I just always remember this line in this purport or this bhajan saying that that one can attain these higher states and all this, but what is it? The only thing it requires is, yeah, the only thing, yeah, simple thing, right? The only thing it requires is to give up our sense gratification. Okay. So thank you, Yasudev Prabhu, for this nice purport being quoted. The essence being our purification can be fast or slow depending on how one chooses to follow the rules. Yeah. So, of course, I think this is just the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, it's just spiritual life is very nice and blissful and all this stuff, but as Krishna says, "Yeyatam mam prapadyante," as one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. And like this. Okay, so I'll stop here. I think we have to do group puja now. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Unless Kal Swarup has any final statements. Okay. And yeah, hope everyone has a good day and looking forward to seeing you all tonight. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Gaura, Jaya Jaya Ram Gita Sari Om Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
6 o'clock for RTN. Kirtan Abhishek. Abhishek is 7. Hi Krishna, Chakru, Jagannath Pandit. We'll see you later today at 6 o'clock. The program starts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Or maybe Chakru is still there.
No, I'm not still there.
I'm thinking I'll try to enlarge. I mean, I'll try to get closer as far as my hand would go.
Chakru, your voice sounds different.
There's that's as far as I could go in my head.
Thank you.
Okay, Krishna, thank you very